Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ushanka Show. Let's learn together something new about life in the Soviet Union. Здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи! В эфире программа Ushanka Show.
All your videos are deception and slander. Your videos are bullshit. Try to learn economy before telling something and read Marx.
So in my previous video we talked about Soviet pawn shop, which we used to call Lombard, and we learned that it was only providing loans to the customers. It never worked as a retail outlet. So loans to the customers and micro storage for your valuable items like fur coats, electronics, rugs, and such. And several of my viewers had the question, so if you couldn't buy items in the Lombards, what did they do with them? Similar question came from David. So you say there is no sale area, but what do they do with abandoned items when they sell them? So the Lombards ticket, so pawn ticket, gives you the answer here. It says that all the items that not purchased back will be sold by Lombard through the state stores according to the prices that they have in their price list. So they mention only state stores. And today we're going to talk about those specific stores. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and comrades, let me introduce you to Комиссионный магазин. Комиссионный магазин could be translated directly as a commission store, but this is what they call in America consignment store. So you bring the item, they sell your item, and they keep a specific percentage of the sale as a fee for their service. So a store was taking a commission, hence the name commission store, Комиссионный магазин. And now, boys and girls, it's time for a quick lesson of Russian language. Урок русского языка. Комиссионка. Комиссионка. That's how usually customers called комиссионный магазин. Комиссионка. Or a lot of people prefer to call it Komok. Komok. But you need to keep in mind that Komok was a slang word because in the normal Russian language, komok means a chunk. So komok снега means a chunk of snow, or komok грязи, a chunk of dirt. Komok. Komok. So how this Soviet consignment store worked? You bring the item to the store, for example, a leather coat. A salesperson will have a price list and he will match, say, okay, so regular price for the leather coat like yours is 150 rubles. Now you have it used, about 10% wear and tear already done on this coat, so we're going to discount 10%, 135 rubles. We'll try to sell it for 135 rubles and the store will take a 7% commission. And this is what the name commission store came from taking commission for the service. The coat will go on the rack and it will be for sale up to 45 days. If it didn't sell in 45 days, they will start discounting the item. Or customer can take it back if he doesn't want to sell it cheaper. But in reality, selling this coat will go a little bit different route. It will go the Soviet way. So that salesperson will start calling his friends or people he knows, people who have BLAT, and say, hey, Comrade Ivanov, we just received this nice leather jacket that we're gonna sell for 135 rubles. If you'd like to come over, take a look, you have first dibs on it since you helped me to get this nice furniture set from Yugoslavia, so I will let you have this jacket first if you like it. So this is how this BLAT system worked in the Soviet Union. You know the people, you exchange favors, and of course if you're in a position to have first dibs at the item, so before you try to sell it on the floor, you will call all your buddies, all your friends, and see if anybody wants to buy this jacket. Or in many cases, this salesperson will try to earn additional income by hiding the item, getting on the phone, and offering people that jacket, for example, for 250 rubles or 300 rubles, because you know there are some people who desperately want that leather jacket, so it will never go on the floor for 135. It may be resold through the back door for double the money. This process of backdoor reselling was shown really well in 1973 Soviet comedy 100% Nylon. It tracks the journey of the winter coat, which was made from 100% nylon, from arriving from overseas into the commission store and then changing hands and doubling up in the price And I'll provide the link in the comment section if you would like to watch that comedy. It's actually a pretty good show. It's kind of similar to 1993 American movie 20 Bucks, which follows the adventures of $20, but this movie was made 20 years earlier and in Soviet Union, and it follows this 100% winter jacket. Besides selling used items, Soviet consignment stores, Комиссионки, also sold quite a bit of brand new items, especially if those stores were located in the large cities like Moscow, Kiev, Leningrad, or port cities like Odessa or Murmansk. When I was researching for this topic, I discovered that actually people were sewing clothing at home, so they'll buy fabric, make some trendy looking skirt or jacket or pants, and they'll take it to consignment store to resell. And I stumbled upon one story. The lady was actually making wedding dresses, and one day she discovered, so she made a nice wedding dress, took it to Комиссионка, and then she went to some distant relative wedding, and she noticed it was the dress that she made. So she was so excited that the dress got sold and she could make money. So she went to the Комиссионка the next day to pick up her cash, only to discover that the dress was back on the rack. So the salesperson at Комиссионка was renting out these dresses for the weddings, keeping the cash, and then putting dresses back on the shelf. So you may guess already that people who worked at the Soviet consignment stores in Komki were extremely important people to be in touch with, to have BLAT with, to have their phone number, and for them to have your phone number so you can have first dibs on the hard-to-get items. There's another really good Soviet-era comedy, 1976, «Берегись автомобиля», Watch Out for a Car movie, and it's also heavily involved Комиссионный magazine and the person who worked there. And he was actually taking a fee, large fee, 50 rubles, so it's like 50% of my dad's salary, for example, just to find the item. So a lady came to the Komok and she said, I'm looking for the foreign-made tape recorder. And he said it will cost you 50 rubles to locate the item so you could purchase it. Quite interesting statistics about Soviet consignment stores. So in 1948, there were only 552 комиссионных магазины in the Soviet Union. So the largest country in the world had only 552 consignment stores. 40 years later, in 1988, there were 3,430. So 6 times more. And these interesting numbers make me wonder, does anybody in the West, any Western economists had any papers, any research on the topic, how the consignment stores, like their popularity in the country reflects the situation in the economy? Like, I assume in the economy when people make good money, everyone is doing well, consignment stores probably not doing that hot. And if you look at the Soviet Union, it actually was snowballing over the years and growing and growing. So I wonder if anybody actually had that research relations between economies and consignment stores. I also had a personal experience with the consignment store in Kiev. So we had one in downtown Kiev. At that time, that street was called Krasnoarmeyskaya, Red Army Street. I bet right now they rename that street. And several years ago, when I visited my parents in Kiev, I was downtown. There was a brand new Domino pizza joint open up right close where that Комиссионный magazine used to be. So I kind of walked by to see. Of course, that store is gone, but that was the coolest consignment store in Kiev. In my teen years, so that's late 1980s, I loved to stop at that store every time I'm downtown just to ogle at those cool, inaccessible items that I would love to have so much. And what I'm talking about is Japanese boomboxes, stereos, VCRs, and prices were so outrageous that I would never even dream to own an item like that. For example, just your dual cassette boombox made by Sharp or Panasonic National, 1,000 rubles. My parents were making together 300 rubles per month. So this is over 3 months of family income, both of my parents were labor union members, worked full time, so I couldn't even dream to have such money to afford just a boombox in the late 80s. But it was so awesome just to go there and look at those shiny, beautiful boomboxes that someone could afford, but not me. So, as you may guess, by the late 80s, Soviet consignment stores, комиссионные магазины, became the outlets for the brand new items that people brought from overseas. Since the official exchange rate, ruble to dollar, was ridiculous. For $1, you'll get only 60 kopecks. So if anyone who worked overseas and was paid in dollars was purchasing these high demand items like boomboxes, VCRs, even like videotapes, movies, and they bring them to the Soviet Union, and then they take it to consignment store and sell it there. So instead of getting 60 kopecks for $1, people will get 20, 30 rubles for every dollar invested in the goods in other countries and sold here for rubles through the consignment store. And when I became a student in Kyiv Polytechnical Institute, I passed the entry exams really well. And because of that, my stipend was pretty high, so-called повышенная стипендия. I was getting 50 rubles per month as a stipend. So my mom was making 130 rubles per month. And me being a student, my stipend was 50. So not bad at all, right? And guess what I did with my first stipend? I ran to that commission store, to that комиссионка, to buy this silly electronic watch made in Hong Kong for 55 rubles. Huge amount of money for that stupid electronic watch, but I wanted it so bad. It had 16 melodies, had alarms, and I wanted it for like 2 or 3 years already, but I couldn't afford it. And my first stipend, I had to run and buy it. Looking back, I'm thinking, dude, you should go to the collector's market on the weekend and invest your rubles into the silver coins from the Nicholas I era instead of wasting on this stupid Hong Kong electronic watch. But when you're a teenager, you're not smart with your money. Also, my childhood friend Dima that I spent every summer with in the village, one time he came to visit me, also we're talking about late 80s, and he wanted cool shades. So I show him that commission store, that комиссионка, and he purchased this, and now I'm looking back, cheap, silly plastic shades with Ferrari logo on the shades, and he paid 25 rubles for a pair of shades. Just ridiculous amount of money for this cheap shades that a person probably bought it somewhere in Hong Kong for 50 cents or maybe even less. And I remember his mother was so mad when she discovered how much money he spent on a pair of shades. But Dima enjoyed those shades. He wore them for years, so I guess it was money well spent. So here's another big difference between Soviet consignment store, комиссионка, and the Western consignment store. You're not looking for bargain. You're looking for items that are not available at the regular retail stores, and you're willing to pay top dollar, top ruble to get the item. And it was also pretty much like a hunt for those items. So, or you have a BLAT and you're hoping to get a phone call, or you just go daily or weekly to check that store. Maybe there'll be item that you're looking for. So there was a different lifestyle, constantly chasing the goods with your worthless rubles. So Soviet consumers were like hunters, like American hunter is dying to get, 6-point or 12-point or whatever the deer. And then, of course, you mount it on the wall and you're so proud for years. Similarly, a Soviet consumer get an item that he wanted, for example, a pair of winter boots, and then you're so proud of them and you want to show them off. So that purchase will make you happy for years to come. And while I was researching for this topic, I stumbled upon this really interesting comment that I want to share with you. So this lady wrote, after she described her experience of getting a pair of Finnish stylish winter boots, how much happiness it brought to her. Then she said, and now, как скучно стало жить. Нечего больше хотеть, кроме денег. And now, like modern day Russia, it's so boring to live. You don't want anything except money. So before, money wasn't the main target. You wanted some specific goods, those hard to get deficit items. But now, since everything is available, all you want just money. So life became boring. And I think the best way to describe this situation when you don't want anything except money and life becomes boring, it's inflation of happiness. For the Soviet consumer, it didn't take much to make him happy. I mean, it did take a lot to get the item. For example, if you remember my story, when my parents sent me a couple of kilograms of bananas for my birthday, and that was an amazing present. I still remember that day receiving the parcel from Kiev and smelling through the crack that bananas inside, ripe bananas. Now I picture if I give my kids for their birthday 5 pounds of bananas, what kind of dirty looks are gonna get, because it means nothing to them, but it meant world to me. Just ripe bananas in the middle of summer. Okay, my friends, it's all I have today. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something new about Soviet Komok. As always, please support my work with your likes, with your comments, with your super thanks, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.